The stadium went completely silent.
Mhm.
Millions watched in disbelief. And in one unforgettable moment, the entire sports world just changed.
It was, I mean, it was absolutely surreal to witness.
Welcome to HAUP Sports. We uncover the biggest stories in sports, from legendary performances and shocking controversies to the locker room drama and the moments that redefine the game.
Yeah, we really get into the stories behind the headlines shaping the sports world.
Exactly. And today, we're doing a deep dive into a headline that is still breaking the internet. Saudi Arabia shocked Uruguay at World Cup 2026.
Oh, man. Shocked is almost an understatement.
It really is.
Yeah.
Picture this. You're standing inside an incredibly sweltering Hard Rock Stadium down in Miami.
Right.
It's the 41st minute. The air is so thick, and you've got over 62,000 fans watching what was supposed to be, a routine procession for a two-time World Cup champion.
A total walk in the park, supposedly.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
But instead, the heavy underdogs, Saudi Arabia, win a corner. The ball floats in. There's this massive thumping header.
Right.
Fernando Muslera, the veteran Uruguayan goalkeeper, he parries it, but he just can't hold on.
No, the ball drops right into the danger zone.
Exactly. And center back Abdulelah Al-Amri reacts first, pokes the rebound home, and the stadium just absolutely erupts.
Completely erupts.
The net bulges, and that single moment fractures the entire script for the 2026 World Cup.
I mean, the disbelief radiating from the pitch was palpable. You could practically see the shockwave moving through the Uruguayan defensive line.
Yeah, that goal just turned the tournament upside down.
Oh.
And today, we're opening up a massive stack of sources for you. We've got granular tactical data directly from the FIFA Training Center.
Which is incredible data, by the way.
It is. We have dressing room quotes, historical metrics, all to figure out how Saudi Arabia, a team that ended the game with just 33% possession, survived a historic onslaught to secure a 1-1 draw against Marcelo Bielsa's attacking juggernaut.
It sounds impossible when you just read the box score.
Right. We're going to dig into the actual spatial geometry of this match, and later in the episode, we'll break down a 50-year World Cup record that Uruguay actually shattered in the second half.
Yeah, you really won't believe the numbers on that one. But to really grasp the gravity of this match, we have to look at what happened just a few hours prior.
Oh, right. Group H was already a mess.
Exactly. Earlier that exact same day, Spain, one of the heavy tournament favorites, they stepped onto the pitch against tournament debutantes Cape Verde.
Right.
And the result was a 0-0 draw.
Which instantly turned Group H into a chaotic free-for-all.
A total mess.
Because before Uruguay and Saudi Arabia even walked out of the tunnel, they knew the door was wide open. I mean, a win here wouldn't just mean 3 points.
No, it would mean seizing total control of the group.
Yeah, and the tactical expectations for this matchup, they couldn't have been starker. You have Uruguay, managed by Marcelo Bielsa.
The legendary Bielsa.
Right. And for those watching, his system relies on this suffocating, high-risk man-to-man press.
Yeah, he basically demands absolute physical exhaustion from his players.
Right, to win the ball high up the pitch and feed world-class stars like Real Madrid's Federico Valverde and Liverpool's Darwin Núñez.
On paper, they were built to completely dismantle lower-ranked teams.
But on the other side, you've got Saudi Arabia, managed by Georgios Donis, and they brought a completely different philosophy.
Right. They lack the globally recognized marquee names, but they compensate with this pass-first system anchored by deep domestic chemistry.
Because so many of them play in the same league.
Exactly. Because so many compete in the Saudi Pro League, their spatial awareness of each other is almost instinctual.
Wow. And that instinctual connection is exactly why the historical data told a really different story than the pre-match betting odds.
Oh, this is fascinating. Because going into Miami, their head-to-head record was perfectly balanced.
Right, perfectly balanced.
Yeah. 3 matches played. A 3-2 Saudi Arabia win in a 2002 friendly, a 1-1 draw in 2014, and then a really narrow 1-0 Uruguay win at the 2018 World Cup.
So Saudi Arabia has actually always possessed the structural blueprint to frustrate Uruguay.
They absolutely have.
And man, that frustration defined the first 45 minutes. I was looking at the first half data, and Uruguay held 59% of the possession.
Right.
They maintained a 90% passing accuracy. They were pinging the ball around the middle third beautifully. But they had zero forward momentum.
None.
They look utterly toothless. It was like a sports car stuck in first gear. All the horsepower in the world, but nowhere to go.
That's a great analogy.
I'm looking at Federico Valverde's heat map from the first half, and he looks totally stranded. So why was Bielsa's famous system failing so badly, especially when it came to his best player?
Well, it was this fascinating collision of Saudi spatial discipline and, honestly, a crucial tactical miscalculation by Bielsa.
Okay, break that down.
So Uruguay deployed in a standard 4-3-3 formation, right? But with Valverde stationed really wide on the right wing.
Right.
The issue is that Saudi Arabia set up in a highly compact mid-block.
Actually, let's define that mid-block physically for a second, just so you listening can picture it. They aren't dropping all the way back into their own penalty area, right?
Right, no.
But they aren't pressing high either. They're basically drawing a line in the middle of the pitch, effectively severing the passing lanes between Uruguay's defensive pivots and their attacking wingers.
Spot on. The Saudi defenders and midfielders, they squeezed the horizontal space. And because Valverde was hugging the touchline on the right, he was geographically isolated from the actual physical battle in the center.
Wow.
He just couldn't dictate the tempo because he couldn't get the ball in areas where he could actually turn and face the goal.
Okay, but I have to push back a bit on Bielsa's setup here. If your star player is isolated wide, why doesn't Valverde just abandon the wing and drift inside to go get the ball?
Because Bielsa's system demands strict positional rigidity in the build-up phase.
Oh, right.
If Valverde abandons the wing, he drags a Saudi defender inside, which just clogs the middle even more and destroys the team's attacking width.
So he's basically trapped by his own manager's tactics.
Exactly. Valverde had to stay put, waiting for a switch of play that Saudi Arabia's midfield just simply refused to allow.
And meanwhile, Darwin Núñez was getting swallowed up centrally.
Yeah, the Saudi center backs formed a physical cage around him. They denied him any space to run into.
And that structural cage brings us right to the 41st minute shocker.
Right.
Uruguay has the Lions' share of possession, but they just can't penetrate. And totally against the run of play, Saudi Arabia wins a corner.
And they made it count?
Mohammed Al-Owais sent it in, Mohammed Kano connects, Muslera parries it directly into the danger zone,
Yeah.
and Al-Amri finishes it. One deal.
Yeah.
And the psychological shift on the pitch, it was instantaneous.
Oh, Saudi Arabia immediately recognized the golden opportunity. I mean, 2 minutes after scoring, Al-Amri takes a deliberate yellow card.
Right, a cynical tactical foul.
Exactly, just to disrupt a Uruguayan counterattack. It was a very physical declaration that they were shutting the door and locking it.
Darwin Núñez did have a fleeting chance right before halftime, though. He managed to slip behind the defensive line, but dragged a close-range header wide.
That miss felt really ominous.
It did. Uruguay walked down the tunnel, staring at a disastrous opening game upset, which leads us to the locker room.
Yeah, the halftime adjustments.
Right. And I am looking at what Bielsa did at halftime, and my brain is short-circuiting. You are down 1-0 in a World Cup opener, and he pulls off Matias Vinha, his left back, and Darwin Núñez.
His premium marquee striker.
Yeah. To the average fan, taking off your best goal scorer when you need a goal looks like sheer panic.
It definitely looks chaotic on paper, but mechanically it was actually a stroke of genius.
Really?
Yeah. So Bielsa replaces them with Agustin Canobio and Juan Manuel Sanabria. But the substitution itself is secondary to the positional reshuffle.
Okay.
He pulls Valverde off that isolated right wing and drops him centrally, right alongside Manuel Ugarte and Rodrigo Bentancur. Ah, okay. So by removing the pure striker in Núñez, Bielsa essentially sacrifices a body in the penalty box to gain overwhelming numerical superiority in the midfield.
Yes, exactly. Suddenly, Valverde is the engine. He's aggressive, winning the loose balls, driving forward, and dictating the tempo.
Right.
But the other crucial adjustment was out wide. Bielsa instructed his wingers to stand practically on the chalk of the touchlines.
Okay, explain how that physically breaks down the Saudi defense. Stretching the field horizontally sounds great in theory, but how does it actually create a goal-scoring opportunity?
Well, think about the physical distance between the Saudi defenders. When the Uruguayan wingers stand on the far edges of the pitch, the Saudi fullbacks are forced to step out wide to mark them.
Right.
When those fullbacks step wide, the gap between them and their own center backs expands.
Oh, I see.
And those expanded gaps create physical lanes, we call them half spaces, that Valverde and Bentancur could suddenly exploit with driving runs. Wow. And the FIFA Training Center data tracks this explosion of space perfectly. The passing networks just light up in the second half.
It's night and day.
Over the course of the match, Uruguay completed 128 line breaks, compared to Saudi Arabia's 18.
Which is a staggering difference.
And for anyone trying to visualize a line break, just imagine the Saudi defense as a series of horizontal chains across the field. A line break is a forward pass that successfully cuts through one of those chains instantly taking 3 or 4 Saudi players out of the defensive equation.
Yeah, Uruguay had 222 receptions in the final third. Saudi Arabia only had 60. By shifting the geometry of their attack, Uruguay turned the game into a siege.
A siege that resulted in a historic barrage. And this is that mind-blowing stat I promised earlier.
Oh, this is crazy.
In the second half alone, Uruguay unleashed 22 shots.
22.
22. That equals the most shots taken by any team in a single World Cup, half, over the last 50 years. Let that sink in. Decades of legendary attacking teams, and this Uruguayan second half matched the absolute peak of offensive output. They ended the game with 67% possession, 28 total shots, and 14 corners.
The sheer volume of pressure was just staggering.
But somehow, despite all that, it stayed 1-0 until the 80th minute. And that brings us to the Saudi Arabian goalkeeper, Mohammed Al-Owais.
What a performance.
Earning player of the match doesn't quite cover it. It was like watching a final video game boss on maximum difficulty, swatting away everything thrown at him.
He was incredible.
But with Uruguay playing at this frenetic pace, how did Saudi Arabia mentally and physically sustain their defensive shape?
Well, it wasn't just Al-Owais making acrobatic saves, though he did plenty of that. When you watch the footage, Saudi Arabia's defense didn't just, park the bus.
Right.
It operated more like a hydraulic press. Every time Uruguay pushed the ball into the final third, the Saudi midfield and defensive lines squeezed together, removing all the oxygen and forcing Uruguay into low percentage shots.
That hydraulic press analogy is perfect.
Yeah.
And the defensive data backs it up. Saudi Arabia recorded 47 clearances and 8 block shots.
Yes, Sebastian Caceres and Abdulelah Al-Amri were just systematic in their defensive pressures. They allowed Uruguay to shoot, but they constantly altered the geometry of the shot.
Right, forcing attempts through a forest of legs.
Yeah.
Or from really acute angles.
Exactly. And Al-Owais made 9 saves, which is the highest in the tournament so far, including this fingertip dive to push a 25-yard Ugarte thunderbolt onto the post.
Unbelievable save.
He knew exactly where his defenders were forcing the ball.
It's the ultimate bend but don't break strategy.
Yeah.
But fluid dynamics tell us that if you apply enough pressure, eventually something bursts.
It has to.
And in the 80th minute, the dam breaks.
Yeah.
Federico Viñas forces a really difficult save from Al-Owais, but the kinetic energy is just too much.
Yeah.
The ball spins loose into the 6-yard box. Maxi Araujo comes crashing into the space and smashes the follow-up into the roof of the net from a brutal tight angle. 1-1.
I mean, the relief from the Uruguayan bench was immense. Valverde almost stole the victory in stoppage time with a massive shot that Al-Owais had to scramble to push around the post.
Right, but Saudi Arabia held firm through the final whistle.
They did. The match ended 1-1, but the tactical warfare immediately transitioned into psychological warfare in the post-match press conferences.
Oh, yeah. But what happened after the final whistle shocked everyone because the dressing room fallout reveals this massive divide in how these two camps process success.
Totally different worlds.
Saudi manager Georgios Donis was beaming with pride. He essentially told the press, "Our first half plan worked flawlessly."
Yeah.
He viewed their defensive shape not as a desperate survival tactic, but as a deliberate, expertly executed weapon.
And then you have Marcelo Bielsa. His reaction was the polar opposite.
Furious.
He was visibly frustrated by the lack of efficiency. He wasn't praising his team's resilience or celebrating the comeback. His logic is just pure mathematics. If you generate 28 shots, your expected goals dictate you must score more than once. While he acknowledged the massive second-half improvement, he bluntly admitted his team was far too passive in the first 45 minutes, and they suffered the consequences of a single lapse in focus.
And the players echo that tension. You have Maxi Araujo, despite scoring his first-ever World Cup goal to equalize, he called the result bitter.
Yeah, because they wanted 3 points.
Right. And Valverde owned up to it as well, admitting that first-game nerves caused their slow start, though he did praise their second-half response.
Right. But, this draw doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It actually reinforces the staggering global trend unfolding in the tournament.
Oh, this is a crucial piece of context.
It really is. If we zoom out, this draw continues a spectacular opening streak. Following this match, AFC Nations teams from the Asian Football Confederation remained completely unbeaten across their first 5 games.
Wow.
We are talking about 2 wins and 3 draws against elite competition from Europe and South America.
That is a massive data point. And it brings us directly to the incredible reality of Group H. Let's look at the current standing.
Oh, it's wild.
Spain, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay. After match day 1, Every single team is tied.
Yep.
They all have exactly 1 point.
Yeah.
They all have a 0-goal difference. It's like a completely reset chessboard where every team is suddenly in a sudden death scenario.
Group H has become a total pressure cooker.
So looking ahead to Sunday's fixtures, we have Saudi Arabia playing Spain and Uruguay facing Cape Verde. Who actually has the psychological advantage after this match?
Honestly, I think Saudi Arabia gained immense confidence here. They just proved they can absorb elite pressure without fracturing.
Right, they survived a 50-year historic offensive barrage from a South American giant.
Exactly. They know their defensive blueprint, that hydraulic press we discussed, works at the absolute highest level, which they will definitely need against a possession-heavy Spain.
What about Uruguay, though? They found their identity in the second half, but now they view their match against Cape Verde as an absolute must-win.
Oh, the pressure on Uruguay is astronomical. Yes, Bielsa figured out the spatial puzzle by moving Valverde centrally. But Cape Verde just watched the tape of this exact match.
Right.
They know exactly how to isolate Uruguay's wingers and congest the middle. If Uruguay comes out with those same first-game nerves, they could be facing an unthinkable group stage exit.
It's do or die from here on out. I mean, this match was a cinematic journey. Saudi Arabia executed a brilliant tactical ambush in the first half, punishing an isolated Uruguayan midfield.
They really did.
And then Bielsa responds with ruthless halftime adjustments, literally sacrificing his star striker to change the geometry of the pitch.
Which unlocked that 50-year historic offensive barrage.
Exactly, which was then met by Mohammed Al-Owais and a Saudi defense operating with mechanical precision to secure the draw.
It perfectly illustrates why just glancing at a box score can be so deceptive.
100%.
If you solely look at 67% possession and 28 shots, you assume Uruguay dominated. But when you unpack the spatial discipline, the forced line break adjustments, and the sheer willpower required to maintain a defensive block under that much duress, the 1-1 scoreline makes perfect sense.
And that is exactly why we do this deep dive for you. We want to give you the mechanics behind the headlines. You now understand the tactical geometry that defined those 90 minutes and what it means for the volatility of Group H.
Yeah, and as we continue to watch this World Cup unfold, I want to leave you with a broader question to consider.
Okay, let's hear it.
Given the unbeaten streak of the AFC nations and seeing teams like Saudi Arabia and Cape Verde successfully construct defensive grids to neutralize giants like Uruguay and Spain, are we witnessing a permanent shift in global football?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Is elite, highly coordinated defensive discipline finally catching up to and perhaps neutralizing the advantage of world-class attacking talent?
That might just be the defining question of this entire tournament.
Seriously.
You've been listening to HAUP Sports, where we uncover the stories shaping the world of sports.
Thanks for tuning in to this custom exploration of the sources.
And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives that keep the game alive. We'll catch you on the next one.